40% of kids saying they hate school. We have to find a way in education to bring those kids to school. We got to figure out a way to make them enjoy it, at least just for a little bit.
What we're trying to do is teach kids how to learn.
Some kids have never had success in school. You put them in front of a video game, they find success. Now I have a voice. Now people are listening to me.
I think people think we're teaching video games.
Right.
And that is absolutely not what we're doing.
You can bring this into a building with your teachers, and it's innovative to where the students are going to be a part of something that is just bigger than them.
Through gaming concepts, I really feel like I have even a stronger connection with students than I've had in the past 10 years of teaching.
Well, good morning, gaming concepts, esports friends out there. Dr. Mike Russell, non-Dr. Trevor Goertzen, how we doing today?
No, doctor, that's funny. We are doing fantastic. Yeah, it's
right.
been a great week. Last week was great. Went to an amazing conference and went to FETC, which was great. We had a lot of visitors at our booth, but also it was great to see a huge amount of representation for esports and gaming. There was a lot of sessions in the last couple of years. That's really bloomed. We went about 4 years ago, Christy and I think we were one of 2 sessions on esports, and this year there was like 52. So there's like a whole esports theater now and a gaming area. So it's really starting to take shape and affect all those kids out there. So we're excited to see the growth in that. So,
well, believe it or not, Mike, not everyone's a gamer. There are still some of us who are slowly getting into the gaming world, but that's why they need us, Mike. Yeah. That's why they need us.
Trevor, you're right in the demographic for, the main demographic for gamers is 35 to 44 years old. So you're right there.
That's the main demographic.
That's the highest percentage of gamers is in that demographic. So
is it because we're trying to avoid our small children?
Possibly.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be a great
maybe
solution.
that's what I'm doing wrong.
I think it's just the evolution, right? That's when we all started, we were young.
Yeah.
A lot of us, when we started, we were young, and that's just how it grew, So all of us who started gaming when we were 7, we're still gaming now.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. Like our gaming started with, at least for me, was I wasn't quite the Atari, but like Oregon Trail at school, and then an 8-bit, and it slowly progressed. But my parents didn't let us have a game system, so we had to go to the Whedon's house to play video games, and that's where I played Contra and Excite Bike. And then the folks got a Super Nintendo, and I could play Super Mario Brothers, and then it was on. So
good times. I love
good times.
I still have my original Nintendo. So
really,
I still break it out every once in a while. There's some games on there that you just can't replicate. So
well, you need simplicity of controller. I just need an A, B, up, down, left, right. Yeah. That's about as far as I can handle.
You need the cheat code, right?
Well, that would also help too.
Cool. How's things in your world?
Been a good week. I didn't do the conference world like y'all did, but I think I've spoken to 30 different schools this week and almost 30 last week. And so schools are just clamoring to get their esports programs kicked off. And I know the guest we have today is just going to continue to add to that wisdom and knowledge about esports. And so actually the guest we have, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit, as someone that has even helped me with that process of getting with schools and talking to folks, and super excited to talk to our guest today, because I think when you get the bio of our guest, you wouldn't think this is a person that would be loving on esports and out promoting esports, but that's exactly what our guest is doing. And so I'm looking forward to hearing her story on how and why she is such an advocate for esports. But before we get there, the week's been good, Mike. And I said, we say it every time, story after story of kids, and it's about kids being given opportunities they never would have had before. And so absolutely love that. That's the highlight of my day, is when I get to talk to kids and get to talk to educators and parents who say, my kid's different because they join an esports team and an esports community, and they're seeing that they have a future ahead of them when maybe they didn't think they had one before.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see that. And we actually just had a great blog post by a student who is going into college. So if you want to check that out, on Gaming Concepts website. Their blogs are all listed there, but this one's a very good one and might be potentially a future guest on the show. So we're excited to talk to him and kind of hear his story and how he evolved. It's a again, like you said, there's just billions of great stories about this, and he has a great one. So
awesome.
Little teaser there to throw out for everyone for the next episodes.
Yeah, well, I read that blog too, and it's just cool to see because it's not your typical gamer path, and that's the best part. Because sometimes we think a gamer's a certain type of person. Nah, it's everything and everybody.
Yeah.
So which leads us to our guest, Mike. So as we like to do, we have a guest the guest here. So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I
You're
totally
ready
have no idea who this is.
Totally have no idea. Okay. Little bio. So this person, a retired New York City corrections officer for 24 years. Not like gaming experience, but 24 years New York City Corrections. I imagine she's got some stories.
Yes, sounds
got some
tough.
stories. A Board of Education member on Long Island. Board of Education.
I've got some thoughts formulating.
Got some thoughts. Okay.
Ideas. Yeah.
Oh man, like you talk about marching band, Parents Association president, CYO basketball, a den leader for Boy Scouts, Order of the Eastern States, PTA, Health and Safety Committee, Transportation Committees, Kiwanis. I'm not sure there's something that this person has not done within the community, Dr. Russell. Any guesses?
Well,
I'll give you one more.
Okay.
She started a company called Bridging the Gap in Esports.
So I believe that's our friend Karen.
Karen. Yes, it is. Karen, are you there? Where is she? She's one of my favorite people in the world.
There she is.
Yes.
Oh, look at her fancy background. Look at
there we go. Karen, good morning.
Good morning. This is a better meeting time for us, Trevor.
Yes, I think last was 7 a.m. at a train station somewhere in Long Island.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh man. Well, good morning. How are you today?
That was in person, right?
That was in person. Yep.
Yeah. That's
a little bit of coffee.
A little bit of coffee. Yep.
Awesome.
I think you bought my coffee too, so it was good. It's good. Well, how are you today? Good morning.
I am doing well. I am just off a fantastic presentation to a district that has over 10 schools.
Nice.
Does not surprise me one bit.
The parents were so receptive. The assistant superintendent was texting me and saying, Karen, you were so informative. This was so good.
That's awesome.
And I had parents of 10-year-olds that said, what computer can I get my child?
Nice. Nice.
That's right. That's right. Well, Karen, I think and we've known each other now for maybe 4 or 5 months, give or take.
Right.
And I know when I first met you, your energy and your passion just it encouraged me and made me even more convinced that if Karen is this excited and engaged about esports with her own story and her experience and your kids, I got to surround myself with more people like you. And so from there, just our relationship and friendship has grown as we continue to work together and support one another. But kind of give us your story, your background, and how you got into esports.
It was a difficult journey. I fought it all the way, like most parents. And I think that's my attraction to most of the parents. My children hate when I say it, but I made them earn tickets to play video games.
Nice.
And they could not play if there was school the next day. So one day, my older son decided, he says, Mommy, you got to let him go, the younger one. You got to let him go. He's really, really good. I mean, they did everything. Like you said, they involved in everything. And I couldn't say no. I just could not say no to him because he's straight A student, always honor student. Okay. But you're going to give me what I want, and I'm going to give you what you want, and then we'll be happy. So about 4 months later, he handed me a contenders contract. And I said, oh, this is real.
This is legit.
Okay, let me start investigating this stuff. And when I did, Mike, guess what I found? The first thing I found, HSEL.
What did you find?
HSEL was the first thing I found.
Love it.
So we said, we got to put this in the school. And, the school has always been very passionate about things that I do. But I got a little resistance. Then I told my son, I said, listen, you call the superintendent. She's not going to say no to you, you know, because she loves the students.
Yeah.
And a couple of months later, she said, okay. We printed out everything you had online, everything. We were printing, we made pamphlets for the Board of Ed and everything. And his meeting was for March 2020. And we know what happened. So everything went a little south. But then I had to find a college for him. And that was a struggle. And there was no blueprints. Now I have a blueprint for parents because I didn't want parents to go through what I went through. And from that point on, I just fell in love with what was going on. I just learned more and learned more. And I just opened up my heart to something that I was really close with. And this just became my passion to teach. And that was my thing. I always did things outside the box. And this was way outside the box in a different realm altogether.
Totally. So now give people a little background on what you did before you got into the esports world, because I think that helps paint the picture for why this is even outside the box. Yes, you've always been involved with kids and with your own kids, like you had some expectations, which is not uncommon. But just kind of, again, your background is intriguing to me as someone who I wouldn't anticipate getting into esports. But again, that's all of our stories except Mike. Mike's pretty much like lived his entire life there. Like he's the guy. But for a lot of us, that was not where we saw ourselves serving kids. So give just a quick like little background on even your before this world.
Well, like you said, I was a correction officer and I'm in law enforcement. That's what I did. That's what I was doing. But I don't have a degree in education, but I educated my children from the beginning.
Yeah.
My children were reading before they entered into the school system. And that's why they were always straight A students. But I've always had a passion to teach children. I've always spoke to the children when they couldn't speak to their parents. They came to me and I showed them what they can do. I showed them their potentials. And I've always been in that realm.
Awesome. So what about esports was a natural fit for you to do that? Yes, you saw it with your own kid, but now you take that more than just your immediate family. Like, why did you see esports as that thing that was going to help so many other kids and so many other people?
Because there were so many opportunities that nobody knew about. Nobody knew what was going on. Everybody thought it was just about gaming. And like, it's not just about gaming. These are all the other things that you can do. You know, yes, we have to support the gamer, but the gamer can't survive without you.
Go into that a little bit more, because I've never heard anybody say it quite like that before. Karen, what do you mean by that? That supporting the gamer? Well,
you have the shoutcaster, you have your coaches, you know, you have the directors and managers. Everybody. It's just everybody is there to help you. And you have to be able to take that help. And if you didn't have all those people, especially in the pros, if you didn't have all those people around you, the gaming system wouldn't work.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, that's something we talk about a lot. Is a lot of careers that are out there in the esports industry that people don't think you know, we talk about transferable skills a lot. Is one of the things we talk about. It's like, can you do, just because you're a gamer doesn't mean you can't go and be in a corporate office somewhere. You're not limited to yourself by doing that. So
absolutely,
I think it's important for people to recognize and what the benefits are of, you know, just being part of a group and part of a team and part of something larger than just doing, you know, being in school and just going through the motions, you know. So
absolutely,
there's so much to unpack with that. But yeah, I mean, but like you said, it's a lot of one-to-one. Like you said, it's conversations. You had a conversation today. Trevor had a bunch of conversations this week. I've had conversations this week. They're all individual conversations right now. We're basically you know, educating every educator we possibly can on this, and parents, right? So that's our role. We're still educators, even though we're not in the building. Our role is to make sure we get everybody to understand the benefits of this and what it can do for our kids in the future. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, like my older son, he went for internship. Instead of attending classes one semester, he had an internship, and they handed him the robotic arm. And how do you use a robotic arm? With a gaming controller. Who knew he was being groomed all of these years to do a robotic arm.
Hmm.
Wow.
Well, I've seen a lot. I mean, and I've seen a lot of articles recently about, these robots are running around and running the 100-yard. They're 10, 20 years, these things are going to be all over the place. They're going to
Yeah.
be,
It's a little Terminator-like for me,
yeah.
Mike. It's a
Well,
little.
as long as we don't like say, yes, you guys have total control of the Skynet situation, I think we're going to be
Yes.
okay. But
Right.
but what you're talking about, those things, the people who control those robots they're using their thumbs, and they're using a joystick, and they're using a controller. I mean, that's talk about drones. Drones are a huge
Absolutely.
focus right now, even in schools. And but you think about the civilian and military applications of those things, and they want the 18-year-old kid in the military right now who played video games, because they can fly the drone.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, they know how to
Absolutely.
do that. So
Absolutely. Even the FAA is looking for gamers, which is very difficult to get in. You have to really pay attention, because that window is so short to get in. But they want the gamers that know how to read a map and remember where all the planes will be situated.
Yeah,
that is very important. I can only imagine that role. But I know one of the things when I was in New York not that long ago, talking to a group of kids that they play, and one of the things we encourage them to do is, when you're playing, don't think about just playing the game. Think about the skills you're developing while you're playing. You talked about the map, like the ability to look at a map within a game and then make like strategic plans. That's a skill, and that's a life skill beyond, hey, you're good at the particular game. I mean, you're planning 3, 4, 5, 6 steps ahead, and then you're having to coordinate that with another person. There's so many different career and job things that takes place right there. It's not just the physical, tactical aspect of gaming. It's that thought process of, I have to think through and long enough strategically. And that's something that I was never good at with the gaming piece, was like that big picture, long-term thinking. Like when I hear Mike talk about playing the StarCrafts and the League of Legends and there's a lot of thought that's going into this. This is not a quick thing, which is probably why I'm not very good. Like, I want the quick, like, give me 5 minutes, move on. Most good games, it's a process. Like, you really have to invest some mind and thought into it.
Absolutely. I just started getting into more of the VRs.
Yeah. That's the next thing. I mean, that is going to be big. So, I mean, I was talking with some folks at FETC where we were just at, and we were talking about, so if this happens, I said it first. Well, I'll share with the people who said it, but building Lego sets virtually in VR, but just, rather than buying a Lego set, you just buy the digital version of the Lego set, and then you build it, and you have like your own little room of Legos. So you get all the pieces and you put them all together, but you don't physically have them.
Right.
So,
but what about when I want to throw them at somebody? I can't.
Well, and there won't be good anti-intruder devices anymore either. So, I mean, you sprinkle those out on your floor, nobody's going to try to rob you, because they're just going to step on those things and run. But
you took me back a long way with that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like, whew. Yeah. But well, well, you can't see it, but I'm a Lego guy too, so I like to build Legos. But I mean, that's VR is there's gonna be tons of stuff. I mean, there's gonna be all kinds of, even amusement parks use VR now. So you go and you sit in a thing, but you put a headset on and you're in the middle of a ride. So I mean, they're gonna start doing that stuff at home or in arcades or things like that. So
yeah, definitely.
it's just the next evolution. So.
Karen, I'm curious, you as a school board member, how is your background working with schools and that aspect of the school board member impacted the work you do with esports as you help schools consider implement? I know you just said you were at a school district doing a presentation here recently. Your background as a school board member, how has that impacted or supported your ability to get in and help schools see the benefit of esports within their programs?
I know they have extra money here and there, and I know the ins and outs, absolutely, how to get different organizations to help them, and that's what I do. I help them. I say, if you ask this company, you'll get this. You ask that, you'll get that. Things that you're working on is definitely going to help a lot of stuff that's going to happen a lot on Long Island right now. That's definitely the number one open door. You have to know who to talk to.
Yeah.
And I know who to talk to. I know which companies are going to help. And that's what gave me, the upper hand on a lot of things.
Yeah. That makes sense. It kind of goes back to that relationship piece of knowing who you're working with and the importance of that in all aspects
Mhm.
of it. And so for a superintendent to talk to you and knowing that you're willing to put your name and your reputation out there and build the pathways for kids. And this might be a good time to kind of talk a little about what you're doing with bridging the gap in esports. I think this might be a good kind of transition to that. Tell us about that piece and why you're so passionate. And we already know why you're passionate, but what is it that bridging the gap in esports is going to help schools and families do that they couldn't do by themselves?
Well, number one, we're talking to the parents, and we are teaching the parents the lingo of esports. We're teaching them what a newbie is. We're teaching them the different aspects of every game. And, if your child plays a certain game, we figure out, okay, these are the words that you're going to hear. You're going to hear ghosting. You're going to hear good game. You're going to hear, and I start them off very slowly, to try to engage them more. And I tell the parents, talk to your kids, engage with them. I think that was the biggest part with me and my children when I started talking to them, and they were like, "Who are you and what did you do with my mother?" So we help the parents engage with their kids because it's important, just like the parents had to learn soccer, baseball. We all know the basic rules, but when they started playing, you knew every rule. And when the ref was wrong, because you yelled at the ref because it was a wrong call or whatever, we're teaching the parents all of the rules of the games that their children are playing. So this way they can have a better understanding on what's happening.
Yeah.
And
And
they
what
have
about,
to find they have to find out who their kids are talking to. Because I think that was like another good part with me and my children. I would say, "Oh, so what Biz do today? Did he lose again? Did he get mad?" So I make them talk to me like they're talking about their friends in class. Same thing. And that's what I tell. That's a very important part for the parents to do, to talk to them and know who their kids are friending on, esports.
yeah.
I hear that conversation a lot with your parents complain about, I don't see my kid. They just go down to the room and play their video games. I'm like, well, why don't you go down there with them? I mean,
Right.
spend some time with them. I mean, I guarantee you, they're not going to shoot you away. I mean, they want you to be with them. I mean,
Absolutely.
and they want you to be interested in what they're interested in. That's what kids want that, and they want their parents to be involved. And
Hmm.
so I, take the opportunity to go down there. And, my daughter's 23 now. And she recently got a Switch, but we played Lego Star Wars.
Hmm.
She still comes over and plays Lego Star Wars. She doesn't live with us anymore, but we still get together. And
That's
she was not a gamer. We didn't grow up, she was, we would play Mario Kart, and we, some things, we would play together, but Guitar Hero, but, go down and play with your kids, watch them play, Call of Duty.
Absolutely.
You hear all these bad things about it. If you're not watching your kid play Call of Duty, you probably should, because they're not supposed to be playing it anyway, because they just changed the rating on it. Right. So
Right.
you should be down there watching them play, because there's some stuff going on that you probably don't know what's going on. So you might want to have a conversation about transitioning to Lego Star Wars or something. So, I just, there's so much benefit to being around the kids, and
Absolutely.
I appreciate so much what you're doing for the parents, because just explaining the terminology is, because they don't know what a troll is, or if somebody says, whatever online and puts it in shorthand, they don't know what that means. They're just like,
Exactly.
hey, what's, oh, they're saying have a good day. And it's like, no, not really.
not what's happening.
Yeah.
I discussed the toxicity and everything that could be going on. I don't sugarcoat it,
Yeah.
because they
Nor
don't.
should you, because
No.
you're going to see it and find it when you sit down with them. So let's just be
Right.
upfront, and here's what we got, guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the parents were really receptive at the last presentation, and I'm really hopeful that this is going to explode extremely soon.
Yeah.
And with the Surgeon General just talking about, I know this is about social media, so not gaming and per se, but
Mhm.
online interaction is what I would call it. They're saying 13-year-olds shouldn't even be on social media. That's what the Surgeon General said. And if we're taking that stance on online interaction, we probably should think about how we're, watching our kids game as well, because they're communicating a lot in that format as well. So we need to, and I don't know that we need to lock it down or do anything crazy like that, but I mean, we definitely, having parents and teachers involved to coach the kids and tell them this is the appropriate way to act,
Absolutely.
is well needed.
Absolutely. But I think my biggest challenge is the fact that a lot of parents don't see this as a social outlet.
Mm-hmm.
Korea, this is their thing, this is how they socialize all the time. But here we've got a negative connotation for it. And it's not. And I explained to them, I said, go see what your child is doing. I walk in on my son sometimes and it says finding game. So he's not sitting there playing the whole time. He's looking for somebody to play with.
Yeah.
Or you can walk in on them and they're on Discord and they're watching a movie with their friends. They're not always gaming. I said, check up on your children and see what they're doing.
I love that. I think about my own kids. My kids are 12, 10, and 7. My 10-year-old last night was like, Dad, can we play? And he wants to play this Nintendo sports game. So Mike, as you're talking about go play with your kids, I'm like, I should have played with my son last night. Instead, I went and watched Terminal List. So like I'd be a better dad tonight. So we're gonna play together tonight. But but you're right. Like neither my kids or none of my kids are gonna not want me to play with them. They're gonna want me and want dad to come join them and play the games with them. And it's just another way to bond and interact and see what's going on. And so Karen, I think that's the thing that and I think you're so on to something, because we're getting to schools. Like that's coming, and it's growing there. But that parent piece, and I love how you said we've all grown up with soccer and baseball. Like we know that world. We don't know the esports rules. But then there are, and as Mike mentioned before, like your key demographic is that 35 to 45, which is where I'm at. But you got so many parents that don't fit that, and they don't understand how games are evolving and changing too. Things are different now.
Yeah.
Gaming's different now than it was 10 years ago. And I imagine as you get into the VR world, like that's a whole new world. And I don't even understand meta. Like I don't want to even get into that space, but
it's fun. I'm having fun there.
Makes me nervous. I'm not ready yet. So what do you see as the greatest, I kind of two questions, like where do you see things going from your perspective with esports, and what do you see as one of the hangups that people are kind of stuck on?
Well, we're definitely going to expand into the meta. That's definitely where we're going with that. I honestly, people get mad at me. I see a lot more training for different things inside the esports realm. I see that doctors are doing it, but physical training, I think the pros, like the football players and all of them, that's where it's going to start to really expand in there also. Our biggest problem is getting everybody to understand. That's the biggest thing that we have. And they're starting to come around. They really are. They want to learn. They don't want no parent wants their child left behind.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
True. Yeah.
And that'll be it. And I'm kind of curious when you talk about like the pro scene and about your son having a contract to play. I'm not even sure how to ask this question correctly. How does that piece grow? Like, how does that piece grow for parents who are kind of not in the loop? Is it social media exposure? Is it schools? Like, what is it you see? I know that's part of what you're doing is bridging that gap. But how do we, even as an industry, continue to build that space so parents see and encourage their kids? Because what parent's not going to encourage their kid to go on and be a college athlete? Like every parent wants that, not everyone, but most. But how many were saying, I can't wait for you to go be a Rainbow Six player in college, or you're going to go play League of Legends in college? Like, that's not happening right now. And I'm sure it is in some places. What are your ideas on how we can help with that piece, help get more people to grow there?
I think, honestly, what I'm doing and what you're starting to do more now is grassroots. I think we have to be face to face, because so many people are not embracing everything what we went through all this in the pandemic, so that we could have faith, what we're doing now, Zooms and everything. But a lot of people still do not embrace it, and they want to see a physical person. and they want to talk to a physical person. So I've been doing libraries. I go to the libraries. I talk to the parents in the libraries. Like I just did the parent university. Everything, we have to step out of our realm and go to them and be there with them and physically show them everything that's going on.
I like to think, I mean, this is just a nostalgia thing, but I like to think, you know, like when they started playing football, like there weren't 32 pro teams and there wasn't every college that had it. It wasn't in every high school, right? It was probably some kids who went out in the yard and started to kind of run around with a ball and run into each other, right? So now, you know, 100 years later, now we have the NFL and we have all the, you know, or the same thing with like the first band class. I mean, who thought of that? It's like probably a couple kids sitting around and like, hey, this sounds cool. We'll play together. And then boom, all of a sudden we have a band, right? So, you know, it's just some things just take time, and you know, now I think our society moves so much quicker, so we think things should just happen immediately. And but I look where we were at when Christy and I kind of started the, you know, in our little adventure in esports in 2016, and I see where it is now 7 years later, and it's 1,000 times, million times bigger than what it was then. People, you know, we talk to people all the time and at least they know what esports is. You know, back in the day, it was like, what is that? I don't even know what esports is, and let alone I don't know how to spell it. So, I mean,
they still don't know how to spell
yeah, they don't know how to spell it, but we'll get
Debatable.
there eventually. But, you know, so I just, these things take time. And you know, for me, it's exciting just to see where we've come so far. And I know in the next 10 years, it's going to be all over. It's going to be gigantic. So
absolutely,
we're just at the very tip of the iceberg on this thing. So
just with the amount of colleges, like when we were looking for them, you know, we're looking for my son's major, of course, because the reason to go to college is to learn, right? So you're looking for a major, you're looking for an esports team. We found like 50, and that was 21. I have a personal list of 690 schools now.
Yeah.
So it's growing so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great opportunity for, you know, that was one of the great things about our, you know, or my high school is our kids had never been recruited by any college before, ever. And then in the first year we had our esports program, we had 3 colleges come visit our school to recruit our kids, because nobody had an esports program. You know, the colleges were getting it started, but they didn't have anywhere to recruit from. It's not like you can just go to the school website and find the athletic director and be like, oh, I want the football player. That was never on anybody's website, right? So they found out we had a program and our kids were getting offers like crazy. So, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing how it all has to work together, because you can't just have a good high school program and nowhere for it to go. And we need industry partners, you know, we need the publishers to help us along a little bit here too. And so that it's just getting that whole ecosystem to work together. I don't really love that word, but that was the only word I could think of at the time. But my small brain wasn't working at the time when I said that. But we just, there's so many moving pieces, and it was going in so many different directions at first. But I think now we are kind of coalescing around, hey, this is good for kids. There's industry jobs here. They can have successful careers. You know, I think we're getting there. It's just taking time and education, and people like you and our team that go out and, you know, talk to everybody one-on-one and say, this is why it's good, and this is the benefits, and these are the careers they can have. And
absolutely.
So,
I mean, even right now with Uniondale and Syosset having great high school teams right now, some of the parents still are not on board. So I still got to get over this.
Yep.
What advantage do you feel like you have as a parent and a mom coming in and working with schools that maybe other people don't have? Because I think you have a little bit of an extra edge. Like, what is it do you think allows folks to even be more comfortable talking to you about it and embracing it more so than maybe they would with someone else?
Well, I come in prepared with all my stuff, first of all. I have everything. And I'm really passionate about this, and they can feel it. When I start talking to them, they're like, oh, she's good. She likes this, you know. My passion is just bubbles over when I start talking to them, and because they're new and I'm trying to mold them and have them understand it. I just love doing that. That's just so great. I love it.
Yeah. Well, and you talked about the importance of the in-person spot, and that's something I've seen not only with your LinkedIn and Twitter and whatnot, that like that is a priority for you. It's not just the digital piece. It's going. You mentioned being in libraries, going to school events, and making sure people understand and know what is actually happening for their kids. And so, what is your plan moving forward? So when you think about where you're headed. When you're headed with what you want to grow, bridging the gap into, where do you see your program in 5 years?
I see us in definitely all through Long Island, number one. Definitely in Long Island, and then starting to, no pun intended, bridging out.
Yep.
Right now, you're going to be the first ones I tell.
Oh, breaking news, folks. Here we go. Let's hear it.
We put in a proposal with the Boy Scouts of America for a merit badge for esports.
Interesting.
So we are starting earlier. So we'll be getting 10-year-olds for sure.
That's awesome.
I have so many new questions now. Mike, why have we not thought of this? Or have you thought of this? Because
actually, we did. We actually met with Boy Scouts of America. Christy and I did several months ago.
Interesting.
So, and I think
that is brilliant.
But we met with Kansas only, so maybe it wasn't. But yeah, so that's great. I think that's awesome because that's the exact thing we wanted to do. So perfect.
Let's grow that.
If you get that done, that'll be awesome.
Well, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take those little pieces to help continue to normalize. And you talk so much about the education piece, Karen, that you do so well. That's going to force people to understand that it's not going anywhere. Let's get on board and allow kids to be kids and embrace what's there for them. So love it. Well, Karen, I know we're kind of getting towards the wrap up. Any other kind of big things you want to be able to share about the work you do? I want to make sure you have an opportunity to kind of share again your Bridging the Sports piece or anything that we missed that we want to cover with you.
Well, if you see my name come across in your email or something, don't disregard me. No, I'm coming in with some good information.
Yeah. She's coming in hot. I told you, Mike, I said when Karen comes, Karen's going to bring it, and she's going to know what she's talking about. So
I know.
I've
talked to her before. I know all about it. All about it. So she's awesome.
So we try to have just a fun closing question, Karen. So something maybe to help us get to know you just a little bit better as a person. We know you love the esports, and so super generic, but when you think back, what was your favorite childhood movie? Oh
my goodness.
And Mike and Herbie, this is for you as well. Favorite childhood movie?
Oh my goodness. That's way back. Maybe Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Interesting.
The original.
Oh yeah, definitely the original.
Those Oompa Loompas scared me.
When the girl blew up with the candy, that really made me freak out a little bit. It's like, whoa, what's going on there?
Mike, what about you?
Before I answer, I want to thank Alex Herbie for running everything, our mage behind the stage, as always.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yep. I know that's a hard job. We appreciate all the work you do there. For me, well, this is not really a super hard question, and Trevor will probably give me crap about this, but Empire Strikes Back is probably my favorite movie. So
Star Trek series is incredible.
Yeah, the Star Trek shows are great. Yeah, thanks, Trevor. But yeah, no, I think it was more just I like Star Wars, but it's more around like when it happened in my life. So like, I was 5. My dad took me to the drive-in. I just had my shots to go to kindergarten, so I was upset. So he came home and we went to the drive-in to watch Empire Strikes Back. So
you're dating yourself. You're talking about the drive-in.
Yeah, that was 1981. So I mean, I was 5. I was getting ready to go to kindergarten. So I mean, but what was really fun about that is 40 years later, during COVID, the drive-in was open. It was the only thing you could go to, and I went and watched Star Wars again on the 40th anniversary.
Wow!
So I got to go watch it at the drive-in again. So it was pretty.
That's fun.
Just a little bit of nostalgia there. So anyway, Trevor,
Herbie, what about you?
Oh, Herbie, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll date myself a little bit too, but I was a 90s kid. And so My favorite movie, I don't know if it came on all the time on TV or not, but Heavyweights with Ben Stiller and Kenan Thompson was in it. And I mean, it was a good 90s movie. So it was a good 90s movie. So people know, if people know what that is, then they know it. But
Well, now you've just brought a whole new like genre of movie that I kind of forgot about. Like anything Adam Sandler, I was a fan of in like
True.
late middle school. So any of the Adam Sandler, Chris Farley world, man, they just don't make movies like that anymore. They don't. They're so funny, so funny.
Yeah.
So I have to say, like, pick one of the Sandler, Farley movies from back in the day. Heavyweights was a good one as well. So I don't know if I can pick one anymore.
Tommy
but
Boy is probably your
Tommy
favorite.
Boy is one of the
Everybody
greats.
loves Tommy Boy.
Happy Gilmore. I watched Happy
Yeah.
Gilmore
yeah.
with my kids not that long ago. Man, that's
Yeah, I can
good.
watch that all day.
Tommy
That's
Boy.
good.
Tommy Boy's great. Like I think I can quote that movie. So like word for word. So
Well, Karen, we definitely give you an opportunity to kind of promote what you do. So tell us how we can find you, how people can find you on social media and on online.
Well, basically everything is Bridging the Gap. So it's Bridging the Gap at Esports. Is the website. Bridging Esports at gmail.com. Bridging Esports at IG and Twitter. And that's how you can find me.
Awesome. Dr. Russell?
I am Michael Russell on LinkedIn and at Russ to Teach on Twitter.
There you go. And you can find me at Goertzen_edu on Twitter and just search Trevor Goertzen on LinkedIn. I'm not the Canadian hockey player, I like to say. So, man, well, Karen, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate your energy and your passion and for how you are bringing it for kids.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
awesome. Yes,
All
thanks
right,
for
well,
coming. It was great.
That kind of wraps us up for our podcast today for our gaming concepts, bringing esports to folks and educating around the country, around the world. So I think that's it. Anything else? Any other final words of wisdom, folks?
Nope.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, people.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.